From now on, Kuraki-san's radio recording will begin. No illusions to live by!
I'm recording at night. I'll start with what I noticed today. Almost everyone looks like they're acting to me, someone talking. Other person reacting very doesn't look like a real emotional response. It looks more like they're already thinking about what they'll say next. Just performing our reaction to keep things moving like a placeholder, and so the content they're going to say is already fixed inside them. The reaction from it comes out. Conversation doesn't look like a mutual interaction to me. It looks like separate script being operated, especially on what's changed. I've touched on this before. It keeps coming up lately. It's not like consciousness choosing words. The words are already determined automatically. There's maybe some rearrangement based on what the other person say, but the outlines mostly fixed. So communication is an exchange of independent script with illusion that feelings are getting through. Though if someone had to genuinely react to every single thing said, communication probably wouldn't function. The basic rule that who they say this, I said that it's already in place. In that sense, and there maybe some interaction happen, but it's already predetermined. Otherwise, you couldn't respond reflexively. That first, when I was studying English, when I was studying philosophy, people are reciting template. When someone says X, respond with Y. The template already exists. I learned that when I was researching developmental disorders, I think people without mental disorder get more templates that are related. There are band t-shirts, movie t-shirts, merch shirts, but it makes sense to me. Half of it that sharing something with people who got the same taste or using it as an icon or showing off. I get that, but if the band already mainstream, there are any need to wear it announce your them. I follow idol, but even so, when you wear popular idols shirts, so what? Are three people wanna then probably likes them to some degree, and there need to announce that if it's a obscure band, maybe it comes a statement. Things other people aren't. Next, people things look like right to me. Some things explicably operated, even if there's an official reason. Underneath it, there's something trivial, something genuinely stupid. There's always a reason something gets accepted, especially with Japanese sensitivity. I can't follow it. There's too much I don't understand about why something gets popular. There's always a reason. It's not necessarily artistic merit or greatness. These things are rare. There's no absolute standard for what makes art great. It's comparing things that can be compared, forcing it collectively believing this is wonderful, including that anything too popular, catering to this message to the significant degree. People have convinced themselves it's wonderful. Whole things like a lie. TV report this is great, but it's like they're not seeing reality. I get why it's popular, but it doesn't feel real. Especially watching from Hokkaido, it's this same. Why is this popular? Something feels off, like there's something behind it. I can't explain it, but it looks like a lie. This person, this music, I'm not denying it. It's not even a question. It looks like a lie. I've struggled to put this in words. I couldn't figure it out. It's that I can't understand it. So it looks like a lie. It doesn't feel like the real world. Are people out there genuinely thinking this is good? Hundreds of thousands of people think this is good. Is there some mechanism behind it? That's how it feels. Not so much a question, it's a feeling that it's not real. It's right. So rather than disliking it, before I even get to disliking it, this thing exists. I think it's so far beyond there where I can understand that there's nothing that registers as a response. I'm listening to the music, but it doesn't feel like I'm listening to music. It doesn't register as a thing. Next, this is also group dynamic. Is there psychology where people start liking something good? Everyone around them say they like it. That area I got nothing. So it's not that they genuinely like it. It's that saying they like it feel safe, like going along with everyone and liking this means I won't fall behind maybe next. Going back to what I said earlier, liking something popular creates a different from others, which becomes identity. It gives you a position that becomes a kind of pride. So thinking you like a popular band or popular idol adds no information, nothing about that present identity comes through. It's at zero risk. When I followed baseball, I supported a player who wasn't that popular. People would say all kinds of things. Why are you rooting for that player? And there's no risk with popular one, no risk, but nothing comes from it either. I think next there's a pattern where a new person look over and change things from the previous person, and it's for the part their trainer establish their value. But people's value isn't there. It's not that there's no value. It's misunderstanding. The illusion that there's such a thing just because someone new took over doesn't mean things change that much, so there's no need to put yourself down overlooking barriers. You just have to notice that that was your body was an illusion. Like people who say they went on medicine to save lives, someone else would have gone to medical school and saved lives who you hadn't. But probably nobody noticed that. People wanna hold until their value I saved lives this way by becoming a doctor. They want that, but there are probably plenty of substitutes that set out. Just doing what needs to be done is enough, but a new person trying to create a different from previous one and making things worse that what only the person can do is generally limited, almost nothing. Harsh reality is not that someone else would do fine. Well, it's harsh, but I think when many people hit this well, the wall of it didn't have to be me. And people heading toward this direction, trying to do something only they can do. They want to show they're above the previous person by being different. The worst is when that's a reader, that's a ego. I think they want to believe their way is right. Also, when I was a student, I'd think, when I do this, I look engaged, that kind of insurance too. But doing that form impression management probably it's never worked out from it. Next, there's a famous chef opening a new place, and I was explaining it in some detail, but then mom suddenly said, he got one too. I thought it all went one ear out the other. She wasn't listening. I was disappointed, and mom said there's a park near here with water, and there's a beer shut up. She'd been going there to get something. Wait, going to park to get what? I talked through it, but even look back now, being told I went to the park to get it make no sense without knowing that. Mom will probably think it's clear because it's on the mountain, but all she said was park. Also English, everything I've been doing for weeks, I realized it's probably didn't matter. What I studied probably wasn't that useful, and there's that feeling of being bad with change. There's strange tension. It shouldn't be a bad change, but and ready to go through with a change. There's not something else I can change more. It's minor stuff. It's hard. Also, I read things to talk about in the podcast. Something the numbers of the count doesn't feel right. This OCD type symptom. I try to minimize it, but it doesn't fully go away. Completely getting rid of it might not be right either. I get caught up on it something. To get rid of it, I deliberately add more to the list, and then it gets confusing. Fixed. Someone who claims not to believe in anything occult. It's a straight habit. Also, I get pronunciation wrong with important word that kept coming up in English. Rarely perfectionism was intensifying, pushing toward more abbreviation. After the point, it's still understandable, but too much abbreviation in it stopped making sense. My personality doesn't change no matter what. It can't be controlled. Next, lunch. I've been eating tofu until now. I'd eating it small bit, but I noticed I'd gotten sloppy. Taking too much at once. What matters to me is whether I can savor the taste. It's the posture of how I live. The posture matters. It can go either way. Here and there. Good or bad. Today I finished the fish in a second, but that kind of bad habit built up. The day before yesterday's dinner, pickled vegetables potato salad yesterday. Egg salad, that was good. The pickled vegetables too. Mom went to renew her lesson that day. The wood ear mushrooms were good too. No real taste, but the texture was good, and the required eggs were they aren't that good. I had the impression they were good before. I remember this reasoning being strong, but they taste amazing. They were so incredible. The end I hadn't seen before. I think yesterday the fried chicken chili sauce was good too. We fry it at home, but it's chili sauce style, excepting using chicken instead of shrimp. But I don't envy people eating shrimp, not pretending either. For some reason, I don't envy people who got money, people living well, people living luxuriously. I don't want to lie to myself, so I'm not pretending. Nothing more painful than pretending, because it's meaning lying to yourself, having to lie to yourself when you're actually unhappy, actually jealous. That's awful. Around middle school, I stopped lying to myself. Things I don't like. When I was in a religion, there was this sense that you shouldn't have attachment to things. Now it's more about focusing on what's right. For me, I can't let myself have freedom, so I try to live in a way where the thought of I should do this differently doesn't even come up. I live to not let it come up. I'm not that envious by nature. I get jealous but I'm cold about it. At the core, I think being not rich isn't that different. I've been saying reality since I was small. I was that cold type which I used to dislike, but cold isn't even the right word for it. It's not the edgy teenager thing either. Today, chilled chicken again. The other day, the day before, they were completely different flavor from what we make at home, because the same sauce is different states. Spinach bok choy. I was thinking about how different spinach and bok choy actually taste. At some point, spinach started getting stuck on my teeth, so I stopped eating. But in school, I ate it. And normally, people say budgets give you brain chemicals, but today I hadn't had it in a while, and it felt like brain chemicals were going. Also, the curry reminded me only of the days we had hockey, this feeling of being wrapped in something warm. The curry tasted similar to hockey somehow. It's morning now. I noticed there are two types of people who lean toward subculture. First, the defiant type, they position themselves against the mainstream, asserting their identity by opposing it. In music, punk or hardcore types. Then there's the other kind, someone who looks at both the mainstream people and the defiant types from the relative bird's eye perspective, people who maintain superiority. By calling it mainstream worthless, I'd like to think I'm not that type. Also, performing indifference is coolness, and that stance I don't like either. To put it in a way that sounds too cool, someone with a third-person perspective, watching with cold eyes, honestly, nothing good comes from it. So cold is pointless, but someone who can devolve themselves to what they are, regardless of how others see them. Not cool exactly, but their life will probably be richer. My pride won't let me do that though. I was just remembering Dragon Nash, the band, far from the mainstream and got a strong, rebellious spirit. I used to think music that obviously dripping with rebelliousness is really uncool one to name genre. But I like Dragon Nash. I think it's because Dragon Nash didn't have the heat and that rebellious streak, but it was the right amount, not too cold and edgy. One names, but their band where the vocalist looks like they're in a literature outlook types. A lot of them that I don't like, and the font they're all in a literature, but this is magic, I think. Next, yesterday I was watching. There was new about Nakai Masahiro possibly pursuing acting. I saw that. Also, I was talking with mom about the Yosakoi festival. I kept wondering about it. I'll look it up later. How does it not? Cause weird traffic jams. A lot of college students are involved. Sapporo at this time of year, both college students and working adults get involved. It's become like a crowd, and it seems like it's gonna be fun. I hated doing things like school festival where everyone builds something together, but that kind of things, I'm drawn to it. Not that I wanna do it, but people of all ages coming together at just the right level. It seems like I'd be fun, and I used to feel something like envy. Also talking about Nogizaka, this member, I don't understand why she's popular, and this other one I don't understand why she's not more popular. Finally, I said it. Someone who looks like Kimutaku looking like him, it doesn't make them as cool as him. And same thing with mom saying she doesn't like this person and this other person because they are similar. Something important is missing. I thought that this person does have harsh edge, but underneath, that she genuinely beautiful that was being left out. I try explaining it to her, but it didn't really land. Also, without realizing it, I'm fighting something religious terms. It would be called desire, greed, human karma, but it's not to grow or purify anything. It's that I'm desperate to get through today, and compared to most people, I got almost no desire. I don't even get cravings for snacks. The lack of desire helps. I'm someone who got little desire by nature, but desire matters. I'm not good or bad. Without desire, there's no drive to improve. Desire is why you try to pick a good anniversary gift for your partner. Desire is why you try to get one more point on a test. People are greedy, but aiming higher isn't bad thing. Desire causes suffering. Most people think that, but as I said, the complementary thought there are good and bad categories. Excessive attachment is considered bad, but things that exist could. Excessive attachment are real. The detective without excessive attachment can't eat a criminal. You probably can't win a Nobel Prize without excessive attachment. Researchers need it. That also being sorted conveniently. Self-actualization can't be called good or bad either. participants seen from outside might actually be kind of sweet, but it's convenient. Isn't it desire that benefit you drive, desire that selfish is greed? The same reaching or something higher, depending on what you're jealous of, or whether you start infringing on others at that moment. It becomes greed. It's called bad desire, but what you're doing is the same. It's a matter of how it looks. Sometimes it's called drive and praised. Other times it's called greed. It's entirely a matter of interpretation. After remembering something from drama last night, and I was still angry about it, a classmate from high school, someone I'd been in the same baseball team with elementary school, was very clearly saying bad things about my upper classmate with an earshot deliberately, repeatedly, loudly. It felt like they were saying it so I'd hear, maybe not doing it to be mean, but there was this feeling like they were trying to make me feel bad. Who that's within it, and then thinking about why else, and that even more disturbing, I should have walked over, tapped them on the shoulder, and said, could you not bother me about my upperclassmen? I regret not doing that. Also last night, or yesterday, I was thinking about more ways to abbreviate English, and then I completely forgot why I started doing this. It probably doesn't make much difference from before. The previous way might have been better. I went back over my notes a few times. It was what I expected, a passing impulse, and now it's come to this. It's not a major mistake in life, so it might be fine. But getting caught up in small mistake in my nature. Also, my ears are small. I looked in a why, but couldn't find a clear reason. But also, apparently, women's period gets shorter. Something that came up with a Hokkaido case. Periods get shorter because it's for some reason Hokkaido's image is getting worse too. Though I'm not sure why. That's a problem. I thought when I was looking at various things. While looking at the Hokkaido case, I found illegal goods being traded, and its animal level behavior, sexually rude, and drug dealing. Apparently, there was street situation. Really, in my own area, it was apparently quiet, but some really terrible people out there. Also, there are good and bad things about the salon district, but even doctor apparently bullying is common. Lawyers apparently many are aggressive and pretty bad in terms of character. Politician, there's gray or black image, right? Bureaucrat, executive. I think they're all gray or black. That's a pretty skewed view, I know, but still, a school with low exam scores, what you might call a low-income area with bad public safety. The quality of bad is different, and lives are being taken. That's different. Why would kids, I'd absolutely not seem them to ladies who say things like, I never feel safe sending my child to a public school. that actually got the point. Everything they said right. Frustrating as a rural Hokkaido person, but it's completely right. There aren't a private school in Hokkaido for healthy people to go to. It's all the same level. Either can't study or somewhat can study. These are the only option in Hokkaido. I only got deviation score of, wait, I said 80. I mean around 40. Next, going back to the earlier topic, the person in this case was doing solicitation drug dealing, also entering money through SNS. Some terrible development people exist, but I don't trust the general public at all. I figured there were people like this out there. I looked at it. Apparently, there are women who wear people secretly to make money. At that point, there's no way to protect anyone. And something about that reminded me. I was listening to a podcast about urban legend, and there was a story about a human who kept getting groups and trained, and the few people who'd always been protecting her turned out to be accomplice. Hearing that there is nothing left to trust, I that the world is rough. That and looking at this earlier was a shock. It's just my own reasoning, making money through it. Sure, I get that, but honestly, the thing I find most striking is why don't anyone predict this? Nobody out there saying this. Everyone assume people who film secretly, but for some money is involved. Of course, women do it too. Why doesn't anyone notice that? Though what I actually feel isn't surprise is that I can't understand why people don't see it. Looking at all this, I gradually started feeling what the rough world elite may have ended up terrible false accusations because of it. People who work together doing that genuinely fighting. I debated whether to bring this up, but it felt too reasonable not to. Come to think of it, since I was fairly young, since I school probably, I thought most people either forget the words are reasonable or they know it's reasonable, but believe they have to push through away. These are too many types. I think reasonable is also being used combinatory, seen as elite. Reasonable is interpretation. The actual state of the world is reasonable. I thought that since school, it's not simple to just declare the world reasonable. So declaring it's unreasonable, enduring it is the easier route, because you get a place to put your feeling. I don't know who to go angry. People say that calling a word reasonable gives some relief. When you look at the world as it is, it's too much. The mind starts to break down. When something painful happens, people think it's because what I did then. It's the person's fault that how type to cope, and that not looking at the fact is there, but pushing meaning into things, layering temporal interpretation, maintain themselves strange, isn't it? It seems like it's makes the pain bigger, but daring, think reasonable, and saying this is hard gives you a way to understand this. Otherwise, the brain's processing cost drops when you compress it in one thing instead of leaving it as a pile of incomprehensible things. Lately, I've been looking at a Hokkaido confectionery mix. I was impressed watching how do they get cream neatly inside mochi without it falling apart. But last week they said fresh fruit was selling well. Natural flow for company maybe, but I used the human desire in it. Looked like this were going well. Also, there are times when cheers gets dust on it. I don't know why, but I feel like I catch the cold weather whenever that happens. The other day, every day I remove even the small ones, but I wanna change this rule. But I feel like I'll catch a cold, and catching cold is scary. I keep doing it. Also, the baseball game thing, I keep talking about it. I get drawn all at once. Who's there winning? I feel happy, but at that moment, I realize this doesn't actually matter to me. I'm not really supporting them that much right now. Why am I getting emotionally prude at this? But anything probably, as long as there's something to get prude, that's why people always get absorbed in things. So that does life feel dull without that pull? That stimulation somehow is necessary, but getting prude means it's plus minus zero. So being consistently flat should be fine too. It differs by person. Some people prefer calm, but with complete calm, things get painful. Everyone shares the need for emo. Also, as I talked about before, there was time was either apparently the ANA student type doesn't become that popular, but when ANA student and delinquent types, not even delinquent, but someone who says harsh things to fans, or shows bad mood, or rates emotions, and type doesn't become that popular. But when ANA student and delinquent types, not even delinquent, but someone who says harsh things to fans, or shows bad mood, or rates emotion, versus someone who's always smiling, mature, composed. The latter should be a baseball requirement, better to have it than out. I took the latter should be a baseball requirement, better to have it than not. I talked before about fan who says he prefers supporting a member who is in baseball because it feels like he can make grow. He's growing. I talk about how beautiful is nothing to do with growth. Beautiful people grow too. Non-baseball people grow the same way. I said completely. I completely don't understand why someone who isn't beautiful makes you feel like you can make her grow. Same thing here. Anna student types got no fruit, so there's no growth to watch. A personality that's too safe doesn't make viewers emotion more apparently. But what's good about having your negative emotion triggered? For example, a person at work who always respond maturely versus someone who gets moody sometimes, says hard things, sometimes, of course, having your emotions pushed and pulled by the writer's words, following the logic. The student from a low scoring school has more room to grow than one from a high scoring school, so they'll grow more. That's not right either. Also, I don't understand why a fragile-looking idol who makes you wanna protect her becomes popular. Men don't have a hunting instinct, and you can't actually protect a celebrity. It needs to be on it. Why doesn't anyone notice its necessary interference? Does a fragile-looking person seem like they need you? But think about it. A popular idol has hundreds of thousands of people supporting them. How does someone conclude that the fragile-looking one seems to need them specifically? I completely don't understand it. How do people get observed in that? There's maybe the desire to hold my superiority, but that doesn't satisfy me as an explanation, because surely someone more attractive is rank higher than the desired product. That should take priority by far. Conversely, going by what I said earlier, someone move aggressive who attacks you creates more emotional swings. I get that no other student types create more swings, but that's swings. It's not the same as growth, but they're confusing that too. They think that one makes them grow more next. When people listen to something, I don't think they process it in order who you bring in a couple of time. They're going back to the past forward to the future. They said this so that earlier things must have meant this, especially with native speaker mumbling, could already understand it at all, can't be explained without this thing. The whole world, everything going back and forth, but when past and future inside the brain, I think linguistically, cognitively, that people don't process what they're listening to as a one directional flow of time. That's right. So same with music. Probably when you're really focused, you're going back and forth, not just chasing the sound. Just chasing the sound, it will get really boring. Probably no different from focusing on the sound of rain. That's why people consciously make the story also predicting the future while listening. In this kind of pattern, the person probably does this next. I'll talk about that in this episode. I think since there is just listing template, it using past knowledge. The template forms reference that connect to predicting future too. So while someone's targeting, you already know roughly that words come next. Humans have been listening for 10,000 hours. You know, in terms of listening, in terms of meaning, when someone says this kind of thing, they'll probably say this next, and music after this. The arrangement probably goes like this, and that's what makes it story music. What the other person's saying. When something unexpected happens, the mind goes blank for a moment. The anxiety or compulsory being moved. Most people, while talking, know that, so they don't attach much meaning to the actual word. Right, I remember this when I was studying philosophy before. The listener isn't really listening to what the other person's saying either. It's pattern, template that the communication wouldn't happen. When you try to listen deeply to every single word, though while doing that, you'd still make eye contact. You look at the other person's face, but you're not really seeing their face. Maybe not seeing change expression that rest. The brain can't process it all. So you're not seeing their face, you're seeing past memory. So I was working about that. You understand and you couldn't hear. You're predicting that comes next. While you think you're going back here, you're getting ahead of present. Humans are supplementing enormous amount while living. I suffered that yesterday with words in Japanese, even if one character missing is probably sound identical. Also, watching someone's expression, thinking the way they said that just now, were they angry? Yet think about it, doing woman observation yourself. So I know I didn't think anything of it at that time, but connecting expression to it, maybe they were angry. Going back to the past to think, also working somewhere at night, thinking was that shadow I just passed a cat, was that just now a person? Next, since I got that injury, mom and I then I haven't fight a lot. Also, when there's tension in the air, you know how things that were usually nerve or lacking don't resist at all, not at all. This might be hard to get across, but when there's big tension or anxiety, things that were normally stressful just vanish. This is common. And when there's survival level threat, stimuli that aren't survival relevant gets shut down. Turned out it's probably that they just look smaller, but I think it's more than that. The normal daily stress and discomfort completely drop off the processing list. The body's strange when one thing hurts. Different pain show up. That the first one is up, not like that at all. Of course not. Who pain sensitivity and doubt from that, it's be a problem with the body. But once the big threat goes away, you return the normal. What seemed small before feels heavy again. So the reverse also happened. Something you thought was good change from it, but a bigger change comes along and it's shrink. Looking back, you realize that was also a good sign. Small thing, but an important change that got missed or a bad thing. A big problem came along. Something else seemed minor. Comparison felt like it didn't matter. But actually, there was a bigger problem. And so, including what I talked about before, I want to keep refining, revisiting these things. But then I think, what's the point of adding even somewhat specialized content? I hit that wall, and then, as always, I hit the wall of that the point of being alive at all. It's because I go in a philosophy territory. I'm supposed to be looking back on a day, and that part gets neglected. I can't keep the balance. I leaned one way or the other. I posted about this 10 or more times each one the major regret. Next, the last thing, a fantasy I had, that's the girl meeting her at the bookstore, and Mom was there cause the religion connection, so I said, come over here. We went downstairs. I said, I'll explain later. Outside, I thought through different scenarios, but they invited me out and kept watching from nearby like this. So I understand how she felt, so I said, I don't have much time. Let's get together right now. We started calling each other by first meet. I had that fantasy. Other seniors to the regret while talking about its hurt, and it hurts now too. But regretting isn't but itself, and I don't think life got failure, or rather, that's a good thing to say. It's not that. I'm coldly detached, and it's not the stance that everything happened for a reason. It's more that there's probably no need to be that crushed by it.